हेलो माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, कैसे हैं आप लोग। उम्मीद करती हूँ आप सब अच्छे होंगे। चैप्टर नंबर 63, द हिडन स्केच बुक, फ्रॉम द बुक थिफ, रिटन बाय मार्कस ड्यूजैक। एक मिनट, इसको एडजस्ट करने को टाइम लगेगा। ओके, थैंक यू। A few days before Christmas, there was another raid, although nothing dropped on the town of Molching. According to the radio news, According to the radio news, most of the bombs fell in open country. What was most important was the reaction in the fiddler's shelter. Once the last few patrons had arrived, everyone settled down solemnly and waited. They looked at her expectantly. Papa's voice arrived loud in her ears. And if there are more raids, keep reading in the shelter. Liesel waited. She needed to be sure that they wanted it. Rudy spoke for everyone. Read Somensh. She opened the book and again the words found their way upon all those present in the shelter. At home, once the silence had given permission for everyone to return above ground, Liesel sat in the kitchen with her mama. Upper preoccupation was at the forefront of Rosa Huberman's expression, and it was not long until she picked up a knife and left the room. Come with me. Come with me. She walked to the living room. She walked to the living room and took the sheet from the edge of her mattress. In the side, there was a sewn up slit. If you don't know forehand that it was there was almost no chance of finding it. Rosa cut it carefully open and inserted her hand, reaching in the length of her entire arm. When it came back out, she was holding Max Vanderberg's sketchbook. He said to give this to you when you were ready. She said, I was thinking your birthday. Then I bought it back to Christmas. Rosa Huberman stood and there was a strange look on her face. It was not made up of pride. Perhaps it was the thickness, the heaviness of recollection. She said, I think you have always been ready. Liesel, from the moment you arrived here, clinging to that gate, you were meant to have this. The book changed hands. The cover looked like this. The book shaker, the word shaker, a small collection of thoughts for Liesel Memenger. Liesel held it with soft hands. She started, thanks, Mama. She stayed. Leisure held it with soft hands. She stayed. Thanks, Mama. She embraced her. There was also a great longing to tell Rosa Huberman that she loved her. It's a shame she didn't say it. She wanted to read the book in the basement for old time's sake, but Mama convinced her otherwise. There is a reason, ma'am got sick down there, she said, and I can tell you one thing, girl, I am not letting you get sick. She read in the kitchen, red and yellow gaps in the stove, the word shaker. She made her way through the countless sketches and stories, and the pictures were with the captions. Things like Rudy on the dais with 3 gold medals slung around his neck. Here, the color of lemons was written beneath it. The snowman made an appearance, as did a list of the 13 presents, not to mention the records of countless nights in the basement or by the fire. Of course, there were many thoughts, sketches, and dreams relating to Stuttgart and Germany and the Fahrer. Recollections of Max's family were also there. In the end, he could not resist including them. He had to. Then came page 117. There was where the word shaker itself made its appearance. It was a fable or a fairy tale. Leisure was not sure which. Even days later, when she looked up both terms in the Duden dictionary, she couldn't distinguish between the two. On the previous page, there was a small note. Page 116. Leisure, I almost scribbled this story out. I thought you might be too old for such a tale, but maybe no one is. I thought of you and your books and words, and this strange story came into my head. I hope you can find some good in it. You can find some good in it. Okay. There was there was once a strange small man. He decided the three important details about his. He would part his hair from the opposite side of the everyone opposite side to everyone else. He would find himself a small strange mustache. He would one day rule the world. The young man wandered around for quite some time, thinking, planning, and figuring out exactly how to make the world his. Then one day it struck him the perfect plan. He did see a mother walking with her child. She admonished the small boy at length until finally he began to cry. With a few minutes, she spoke very softly to him, after which he was soothed and even smiled. The young man rushed to the woman and embraced her. Words, he grinned. What? But there was no reply. He was already gone. यहाँ पे इसकी ये पिक्चर बनी हुई है, द फहरर शॉप. ओके. In the yes, the Fahrer decided that he would rule the world with words. I will never free a gun, he said. I will not have to. Still, he was not rash. Let's allow him to at least that much. He was not a stupid man at all. His first plan of attack was to plant the words in as many areas of his homeland as possible. He planted them day and night and cultivated them. He watched them grow until eventually great forest of words had risen throughout Germany. It was a nation of formed thoughts. While the words were growing, our young Forer also planted seeds to create symbols, and there was also well on their way to full bloom. Now the time had come. The Forer was ready. He invited his people towards his own glorious hut, beckoning them with his finest ugliest words hand-picked from his forest, and the people came. They were all placed on a conveyor belt and run through a rampant machine, which gave them a lifetime in a few moments. Words were fed into them. Time disappeared, and they now knew everything they needed to know. They were hypnotized. Next, they were fitted with the symbols, and everyone was happy. Soon, next day they were fitted with the symbols and everyone was happy. Soon demand for the words and symbols increased to such a point that as the forest grew, many people were needed to maintain them. Some were employed to climb the trees and throw the words down to those below. They were then fed directly into the remainder of the foreigner people, not to mention those who came back for more. The people who climbed the tree were called word shakers. यहाँ पे इसकी पिक्चर है यहाँ पे. ओके, लेटर है, काफ़ी बारीक लिखा हुआ है, दिख नहीं रहा बराबर से, अगर कुछ गलती है तो ओके. The best word shaker were those who understand the true power of words. They were always able to climb the highest one. One such word shaker was a small skinny girl. She was removed as the last of her rejoin because she knew how powerless a person could be without words. She had desire, she was hungry for them. One day, however, she met a man who was despised by her homeland. Even though he was born in it, they became good friends. And when the man was sick, the word shaker allowed a single teardrop to fall on his face. The tear was made of friendship. a single word which dried and became a seed. When next the girl was in the for forest, she planted that seed amongst the other trees. She watered it before and after every shift. At first, there was nothing, but one afternoon, when she checked it after a day of word shaking, a small sprout and shot up, she stared at it for a long time. The tree grew faster than everything else until it was the tallest tree in the forest. Everyone came to look at it. They all whispered about it and they waited for the फहरार. यहाँ पे ये प्लांट्स आ गए. लेटर है किसी बहुत बारीक लिखा हुआ है, आप लोग थोड़ा देख के पढ़िए. Okay, thank you. For the Fahrar. What is this? Incensed, he immediately announced that the tree would be destroyed. That was when the word shaker had made her way through the crowd. She fell to her hands and knew, please, she cried. You can't cut it down. The Farrar, however, was unmoved. He could not afraid of to make exceptions. As the word shaker was dragged away, he turned to his right hand man and made a request. Axe, please. At that moment, the word shaker twisted free. She ran, she boarded the tree, and even at the Farrar hammered at the trunk with his axe, she climbed until she reached the highest of the branches. The voice and axe beats continued faintly on. Continued faintly on. Clouds walked by like wild monsters with grey hearts, afraid but stubborn. The word shaker remained. She waited for the tree to fall, but the tree would not move. Many hours passed, and still the Farrar axe could not take a single bite out of the trunk. In a state nearing collapse, he ordered another man to continue. Days passed. Is not dog. Days passed. Weeks took over. 196 soldiers couldn't make any impact on the word shaker's tree. यहाँ इसकी pictures है. Okay. But how does she eat? People asked, how does she sleep? What they didn't know was that at her word, shakers threw supplies across, and the girl climbed down to the lower branches to collect them. It snowed, it rained, seasons came and went. The word shaker remained. When the last airman failed, he called up to her, word shaker, you can come down now. There is no one who can defeat this tree. The word shaker, who could only just make out the man's voice, replied with a whisper, no thank you. She handed the words down through the branches. यहाँ पे इसकी picture. No one knew how much time has passed, but one afternoon, a new axeman walked into town. His long looked too heavy for him. His eyes dropped. His feet drooped with exhaustion. The tree, he asked people, where is the tree? An audience followed him, and when he arrived, clouds had covered the highest regions of the branches. The word shaker could only just hear people calling out that a new axeman had came to put to an end of her vigil. She will not come down, the people said, for anyone. They did not know who the axeman was, and they did not know that he was undeterred. He opened his bag and pulled out something much smaller than an axe. कि बैग में से निकाल रहा है कुछ। The people laughed. You can't chop a tree down with an old hammer. The young man did not listen. He only looked through his bag for some small nails. He placed three of them in his mouth and attempted to hammer a fourth one into the tree. The first branches were now already high, and he estimated that he needed four nails to use as footholds to reach them. Look at this idiot, roared one of the watching men. No one else could. The man felt silent. The first nail entered the tree and was held steady after 5 blows. Then the second went in, and the young man started to climb. By the fourth nail, he was up in the arms and continued on his way. He was tempted to call out as he did so, but he decided against it. The climb seemed to last for miles. It took many hours for him to reach the final branches, and when he did, he found the word shaker asleep in her blankets in the clouds. He watched her for many minutes. The warmth of the sun heated the cloudy rooftop. ये ऐसे चढ़ रहा है यहाँ पे और यहाँ पे ऊपर पहुँच गया. यहाँ पे वो एक्समैन नया वाला पहुँच गया. He reached down, touching her arm, and the word shaker woke up. She rubbed her eyes, and after a long study on his face, she spoke. It is really you. It is from your cheek. She thought that I took the seed. The man nodded. It is from your cheek. She thought that I took the seed. The man nodded. His heart wobbled, and he held tighter to the branches. Together they stayed in the summit of the tree. When the clouds disappeared, they could see the whole forest. It wouldn't stop growing, she explained, but neither would this. The young man looked at the branch that held his hand. That hold his hand. When they had looked and talked enough, they made their way back down. They left the blankets and remaining food behind. The people could not believe it that they were seeing, and the moment the word shaker and the young man set foot in the world, the tree finally began to show the axe marks. Bruises appeared, slits were made in the trunk, and the earth began to shiver. It's going to fall. A young woman screamed, the tree is going to fall. The word shaker's tree is all its miles and miles of highest slowly began to tip. It moaned as it was sucked to the ground. The world shook, and when everything finally settled, the tree was laid out amongst the rest of the forest. The world shaker and the young man climbed up to the her horizontal trunk. They navigated the branches and began to walk. When they looked back, they noticed that the majority of lookers had started to return to their own places in their out there in the forest. But as they walked on, they stopped several times to listen. They thought they could hear voices and words behind them on the word shaker's tree. For a long time, Leisure sat at the kitchen table and wondered where Max Vanderberg was in all the forest out there. The light lay down around her. She fell asleep. Mama made her to go bed, and she did so. When Max's sketchbook against her chest, it was hours later when she woke up and that the answer to her question came. Of course, she whispered. Of course, I knew where he is. And she went back to sleep. She dreamed of the tree. यहाँ पे होता है हमारा चैप्टर नंबर 63 फिनिश. मिलेंगे हम नेक्स्ट चैप्टर में विद चैप्टर नंबर 64. काफ़ी बारीक लिखा हुआ है. आप लोग उसको अच्छे से देखिए। एंड थैंक यू, बाय फॉर नाउ फ्रेंड्स, थैंक यू वेरी मच। मैंने अपनी पूरी कोशिश की है उसको पढ़ने के लिए बराबर से, थोड़ा बहुत तो हो सकता है, फिर भी बहुत अच्छा था। एंड थैंक यू एंड थैंक यू, बाय फॉर नाउ।